Again, the third method we will be doing is split the middle. We use this when we have three terms, and we'll be factoring quadratics in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c. We always have to do what first when factoring before anything else. We have to take out a 1. Yeah. And you just look. I take out a GCF. And then notice I have three terms, so I'm going to use this method to split the middle. Here are the steps to factor using split the middle. Again, always check. Can we take a GCF out between 3, 8, and 4? Nope. Can we take a variable out? Nope, we both don't have one. Always look for that. Okay? And essentially what we're doing, who really likes to group what we did yesterday? Feel pretty good about it. You can group all day long. That's essentially what we're trying to do. Because how many terms do we need in order to use grouping? 4. Problem is we have only how many? 3. So what we're going to end up having to do is literally split this middle term using that skill we did at the beginning of class. Okay? In order to do that, what we're going to do is multiply A and C. And remember, quadratics are written in this form. A is your first term, C is your third term. So you're going to multiply those two terms together. And that's what we're going to do. So you multiply your first and your last together. 3 times 4 is what? There might be other ones that multiply to give us 12, though. You're right. 3 times 4 is 12. Okay? You're right. 3 and 4 do add to give us 8, but there might be other numbers that also add to give us 8. Okay? Then do exactly what we did at the beginning. Write down all the factors of 12. What are all the numbers that multiply to give us 12? 1 and 12. Always do the 1. Sometimes it is the 1, and then if you don't do the 1, you can't find it. Always do 1. 2 times what gives us 12? 3 times what gives us 12? 4. Anything else multiply to give us 12? So that's our first step. We're trying to get 4 terms so we can group. In order to get 4 terms, we have to split this middle. In order to split the middle, we have to do that. You have to multiply the first and last together, and then write down all that number's factors. Then what you're going to do is find which of those numbers, which of those factors adds to give you the middle number. In this case, our middle number is 8. Well, which one of those adds to give us 8? 2 and 6. Oh, it does? That's a typo. Change it to 8. Your middle number is 8. Change it to 8. Thought I fixed that. Yeah, change this guy in. I know it's 7 on your paper. Change it to 8. That's why you're asking, Andrew. So then what you're going to do, now that you have those two numbers, those are what you're using to split your middle with so that you have 4 terms. Here's the thing. Your middle term has an x next to it. So you have to make sure these two numbers are also going to have an x written next to it. And it doesn't matter which one you put first. You could have did 6x and then the 2x. That does not matter. Just stick them right in the middle. Okay? Now that we have 4 terms, we can now factor by grouping. We do exactly what we've been doing. Group the first 2, group the last 2. Right? What can we take out between 3x squared and 2x? And good, that's it. X. Can't take anything out between 3 and 2. So the only thing we can take out is an x. write your leftovers. We didn't take any numbers out, so that's going to stay a 3. We had 2 x's, took 1 x out. How many are left? We didn't take any numbers out, so that stays a 2. Had 2 x's, took 1 x out. How many x's do we have left? 0. Don't write anything. Then look at the next two, between 6 and 4. What can we take out? 2. And then what do our leftovers have to be? 3x plus 2. Divide everything by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. We didn't take any x's out, so that stays. 4 divided by 2 is 2. We're good. And then our last step, when we're factoring by grouping, make your 2 parentheses. What's going to go in the first parenthesis? 3x plus 2. What's going to go in the last one? So remember, with grouping, the repeating parenthesis you write once, and the GCS you write together in the other one. And we're done. That's all you do. You get it down so we can use what we did yesterday so you can group. In order to do that, you have to follow those first 2 steps. Multiply the first and last numbers, and then write down all the factors and figure out which one of those factors will add to give you that middle number. So that's what you're using to break up your middle, and then you just watch. Okay. You can FOIL to check your answer. We're not going to do that for time's sake, but you can FOIL, and you should get exactly what you had at the beginning. If you don't get exactly what you had in the beginning, you probably didn't factor correctly, or accidentally messed up FOILing. So that sometimes it's like mess up FOILing, and you might change your answer and things like that. But yes, you can check your answer by FOILing. So follow those same exact steps. We want to factor. Ask yourself, can we take out a GCF? The number that goes 5, 19, and 12. Well, can't take out an X, can't GCF. So what's our first step? What do we have to do? Multiply 5 and 12. Multiply those guys together. We can do that off to the side. What is 5 times 12? So we have to figure out all the factors of 60. So what do we always want to start with? 1. 1 and 60. Okay, what else? 2 and
30.
3 and
20.
4 and 5 and 12. 6 and any other ones? Nope. But once you get good at this, some of you probably like, I know my answer already. You can stop once you find it. Just a good habit of writing them all down, because sometimes it's you get bigger numbers and there's a really long list. You just have to get in the habit of writing down all the factors. Once you get good at it though, once you find the 2, you can stop. So which 2 of these add to give us our middle number 19? Yeah, once you find it, 4 and 15 work, you didn't have to write the other one. But just right now we're getting the habit of writing them all down, because sometimes it is the last one. So we have to rewrite this with our middle split. So you're going to write that first term the same, and then rewrite your middle using those 2 numbers. What do we have to write next to those numbers, though? X. You can't forget that. You have to remember to write X's next to it. Your middle term has an X, so these guys have to have an X. And 12. Now we have 4 terms. So what method can we use to finish this problem? Grouping. Group. So what can we take out between 5x squared and 4x? What's next? Right? What are our leftovers going to be if we just take out an x? 5x plus 4. Okay, remember that middle sign has to drop down. There's a plus sign in the middle, so we're going to write it. Between 15 and 12, what can we take out? 3. And what do our leftovers have to be? And you just divide everything by 3 and you get 5x plus 4. Our parentheses match, so we're good. And your last step. What's going to go in that first parenthesis? And what's going to go in the second? It's the same process every single time. You're just dealing with different numbers every time. Same exact steps. How you going factoring this? What do we need to do first? Can we GCF? Well, no, you have the correct answer. Can we GCF though? Nope. Good. That's what you want to look for first. Kelsey, what's our next step going to be? Perfect. What do we get when we multiply 6 and 5? 30. So now write down all your products of 30. Well, what do we always have to start with? Or always start with 1 and 30. What else? 2 and 15, 3 and what else? 4 work. What about 5? 5 and 6. Anything else? Nope. Here's the thing. When we add to get our middle number, because again, whenever this number is positive, this is a positive 30, we're adding. Okay? But we're adding to get a negative number, so what do we know about the signs of all of our factors? They're going to be all what? They're all negative. So negative times a negative gives us a positive, and when we add negative numbers, they stay negative. So which one of these work? Which pair? 3 and negative 10. Okay with that? It's tricky when the signs are different. But if that, what you're multiplying is positive, means you're adding. If your middle number is negative, then they're all going to be negative. If your middle number is positive, then they're all going to be positive. So how do we have to rewrite this? Good. Perfect. Good. Perfect. Very good. You have to make sure. Write those x's next to those numbers. Now what method do we use that we have 4 terms? Between 6x squared and 3x, what can we take out? And what are our leftovers going to be when we take out a 3x? 2x minus. Very good. There's this negative here, so make sure whatever sign is that right in that middle, you drop that down. What can we take out between 10 and 5? 5. What's going to happen to our signs, because that's technically now the negative 5? We're going to flip. So what our leftovers end up being? 2x minus 5. Oh, sorry, minus 1. Because negative 10 divided by negative 5 is positive 2. Positive 5 divided by negative 5 is now negative 1. So whenever that middle one right there is negative, your signs are going to flip. And our very last step. Jenna, what's going to go in that first parenthesis? Jenna, what's going to go in that first parenthesis? Good. What's going to go in that last parenthesis? Allie?
3x is fine.
No. Question so far. What are the same process every single time? Just different numbers. Okay. We'll go over 3 first, then we'll do 4. Wait, look at 3. What's a little different about 3? There's no technically there is an A though, if you just don't write it. What is in front there? A 1. So just write in that 1. Okay? And then it's the same exact process. That's what's a little different about 3. What do we have to do? First, what is our very first step?
Multiply 1 by -6.
Before we can do that, GCF, can we though? I'll give you a hint, unless there's a variable, you won't be able to take out a number when the first one's 1. But now, Virgil, what are we going to do?
Multiply 1 by -36.
1 times -36 is just -36. You might be noticing a shortcut here. When there's 1 in front, it's just a 1. It's just a back number when 1's in front. But we're still going to multiply just to get that same process down. If you notice that shortcut, go for it. So then write down all the numbers that multiply to give us 36. What are the numbers that multiply to give us 36? We always start with 1. 1 and 36. What else multiplies? 2 and 3 and 4 and any other ones work? Okay, here's the thing. This number that we multiplied is negative. So that means we're subtracting these values. So then, which one subtract to give us our middle number, -5? 4, 9. How would they have to subtract though? 4 minus 9 or 9 minus 4? 4 minus 9. So that middle number is going to be a -9. Whenever the product is negative, you're subtracting. Whenever your product is positive, you're adding. Alright? So then rewrite that middle. Jason, how do we rewrite that middle?
1x squared minus 3x.
What two numbers did we pick?
4x.
Good, plus 4x.
Minus 9x minus 36.
Good. And now that we have 4 terms, what method do we use? Grouping. Group these two together. Group these two together. What can we take out between 1x squared and 4x? X. What are our leftovers? Good. We have that minus sign, so we drop the minus sign down. What can we take out between 9 and 36? Okay, little number going to the big number. And that'll be your DCF. Again, this guy's negative, so what's going to happen to the signs of our leftovers? They're going to flip, so what are our leftovers going to end up being? X plus 4. And then, Cassidy, what's going to go in that first parenthesis? Perfect. That's going to go in that second parenthesis, Anthony. And you can flip-flop it. You can do x minus 9 and x plus 4. You're not wrong. You do x plus 4 and x minus 9. Not wrong. Everyone works. You might have noticed a shortcut as well. What did our numbers end up being?
4 and 8.
So when one's in front, if you recognize the shortcut, go for it. If you don't recognize the shortcut, just do the same process. You're going to get the right answer. We'll do 4. 5 and 6. If we look at 4, what's our first step when factoring when doing this? DCF. Can we DCF? Yeah, what can we take out? 2. Always look for that. Sometimes you can't. Got it? You can take out a variable because they all do not have dividing everything by 2 to get your leftovers. What are those going to look like when we divide everything by 2?
X squared plus 2x.
So you kind of just ignoring this GCF. This guy just drops down as we go. Okay? Make sure he drops down every step. And then you kind of ignore that 2 out in front, and you're going to factor what's on the inside. You notice, again, what's technically in front of this x squared? We're going to write it. What's our first step? And 1 times negative 24 is what? Negative 24. So this guy is negative, so what are we doing with our factors? Subtracting them. So always think we're going to subtracting when that's negative. What are all the numbers that multiply to give us 24? 4, 12, 8. What else? 6. Anything else? Which one of those subtract to give us our middle number, and make sure the middle number is what's the new middle number that's inside your parentheses. 4 and 6. How do they subtract to give us positive 2? Times 4. You write your middle. X squared minus 4x plus 6x minus 24. Again, this guy just drops down. Okay? Just ignore it, and just make sure you're constantly writing it in your problem. What can we take out between x squared and 4x? And I'm going to make a bracket so it's a little neater. I have our GCF by group. I'm going to take out an x. What are our leftovers going to be? There's a plus sign in the middle. I'm going to write that plus sign down here. What can we take out between 6 and 24? 6. Right, your leftovers. What are our leftovers going to be? 4. Close it up. And again, this GCF just kind of hangs out. Don't forget about it. Ignore it while you factor. So make sure it's in your final answer. And then finally, how are you going to fill in those parentheses?
1x minus 4 plus 8.
Done. And again, you notice the number in front is 1. Use X shortcut, just write those numbers. If you don't recognize the shortcut, just click the middle and you're going to get the right answer. Questions over any of that? By tomorrow.